consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your Soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Welcome, my loves. I am very excited about this episode. If you are ready to merge your next level in your business with your soul-driven mission, then this episode is absolutely for you to listen to. We're going to focus on the 4 key areas for those who are interested in growing their coaching, healing business to that next level. I'm bringing on my special guest and good friend, Abe Brown, a man I look up to because of his character, his ability to hold space, and his incredible wealth of knowledge in which he has the success to show for it. He's also incredibly humble. Abe Brown is the coach's coach, an entrepreneur, professional speaker, international best-selling author, and a high-performance leadership coach. He is also the president of the Certified Coaches Federation, which is one of the top life and executive coaching organizations in the world, the president of the Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Corporation, the CEO of Wellness Innovate Corp, and the CEO of Momentum Coaching. So you guys, we are in for a juicy, knowledgeable interview here. Abe is also hosting an online summit where we will dive in deeper into what he shares in this episode. I'm honored to be speaking on the summit as well about how to grow your coaching business as a speaker. Welcome, Abe.
Hey, nice to have you. Nice to be here, Rosalind, and thank you so much for having me. Nice to have you,
maybe
too.
You are having me.
Right. Who knows, right?
This is going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can be interviewing me, too. That's totally cool.
Yeah, well, you know what? We can interview each other, sort of, right?
Exactly. Well, this really will be like a conversation. That's always how I love to have these episodes. Cool. So, Abe, we met, gosh, has it been about 5 years on social media? I believe we just connected because we had so many mutual friends and we live a city away.
Yeah.
A couple of days away, 3 hours away. Abe's in Calgary, Alberta. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta.
Yeah.
And we really connected and I loved, first time we went out for lunch, you were sharing with me a little bit about your journey, your challenges, your struggles as a young man, and how you discovered your calling. And so I'd love for you to share with the audience, because there's a lot of people who are listening right now who are finding themselves challenged, questioning, is this really the path for me? Is this entrepreneurship path for me? And feeling like they're not quite reaching their goals. Maybe they're getting frustrated. And so I'd love for you to share, to sprinkle in tons of hope. Your journey.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the opportunity. And I mean, I love kind of how you framed that because, we are kind of on a journey. And, journeys, right, have ups and downs. Journeys have, kind of hills and valleys, and they, you go through different types of terrain. And my story is absolutely no different. I think if anything, I do have pretty good formal education, but beyond that, I like to tell people I have a PhD in failure. And I guess you could say that it wasn't my intention, but my path has been in some ways to fail my way to success, So I was raised in just outside of Toronto, and we experienced, significant poverty and abuse as children, my brother and I. And, kind of the tragedy of my life, I guess you could say, is my brother, has sort of gone off to spend about a decade in prison here in Canada. And for those of you who might be listening, it's hard to go to prison in Canada, right? It's not an easy thing. And so, that was kind of the path that I was on, a trajectory that would have absolutely caused me to end up, sort of neck deep in, overwhelmed by mental health issues and addiction, along with violence in prison. And, so I'm 16 years old, and that's the path I'm on. I'm breaking into houses, stealing cars, dealing drugs in the school. And then I ended up having this transformational spiritual experience that changed my life. And, I think I wasn't looking for it, that's for sure. I mean, with my drug-addled brain, I was just looking for sort of the next hit or the next sort of joyride or whatever. And this thing changed me so profoundly that one day I'm dealing drugs in the hallway in my school, and at the time I was in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And then the next day I'm really heavily involved in this church group, and I'm taking groups of students to the food bank and organizing ways to volunteer and give back. It was such a profound shift that kind of the whole school noticed. And so at that time I thought, well, how can I give back, right? I was so grateful that really my path had been interrupted, I was on this path to kind of destruction, I guess you could say, and here I am, now looking at the future with hope and anticipation, right? Expectancy, which was so weird. And so, I decided, what I would do is, I'd become a pastor, because that was sort of the place where I had experienced this change and transformation. And I really just wanted to give back. I knew that people who were acting out behaviorally, maybe doing, quote unquote, dumb things, they weren't dumb people. They weren't bad people by any stretch of the imagination, but they're confused. They're sort of lost. They're kind of broken. So I just thought, hey, here's what I'll do. And so I went into that profession, had an amazing time, and I'm still an ordained minister. I spent 13 years in that field full time, and was also a registered therapeutic counselor. And then everything came crashing down in my 13th year. And I was married at the time. We'd been married for 10 years, and married quite young. I mean, I was 22, she was 18. And,
wow.
And, the marriage ended, and, I'm going to say, I know how people will always sort of say, well, it was 50-50 or whatever. But I mean, I have no problem admitting that, probably 90% of it was my fault, and I made some really bad choices and hurt her, and ended up kind of losing everything. I mean, it was kind of crazy to go from on top of the world in this group of churches that I was a part of to now sitting there, looking at my life, lost everything, my marriage, our finances were in collapse. We had 2 kids, and I literally had people, and churches can be pretty nice, but they can also be pretty nasty. And I wasn't raised in church, so I had never really kind of understood this. But people are like, you're going to go to hell one day, and it was because of all of this that happened. So it was kind of a weird thing, and so I ended up in this deep pit of depression. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had all that hope and anticipation I had for my future was gone, and I could count on one hand, the number of friends that I had left. So I thought, well, what am I going to do, right? And I thought all the things that I didn't want to do to my kids, right? I wanted to be present, I wanted to be a good dad, and of course my dad had taken off. I mean, I never even really knew my dad. He actually drank himself to death, literally, and he died alone in his apartment in Napanee, Ontario, in a pool of blood because his liver blew up, and he'd been dead for 3 days before they found him, and that was sort of what I was now thinking about was going to happen in the future. So I actually got so in despair that I attempted to end my life, and I failed at that. So
thank
then
goodness.
I'm thinking, yeah, I know, but I'm thinking, man, you really
Wow.
are a loser, because you can't even end your life properly, the way, I don't know what I thought a normal person could. But my family, we had sort of unspoken unaddressed mental health issues for years, right? And these, as you know, these sorts of patterns don't, kind of create themselves. Oftentimes, these things can be passed from almost from generation to generation, either genetically or spiritually, or both, however you want to look at it, right?
Yes.
And so, I'm sitting here, and it was at that moment that, just after this failed, sort of suicide attempt, that I realized that I actually still did have a reason to live. And of course, it was literally one thing, and it was my kids, right? It was that I didn't want them to grow up, the same way that I had grown up, and that was without a dad. And so I needed to, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but I needed to get my shit together, right? I needed to, figure out, like, what the hell went wrong? How could I go from, helping so many people, like literally thousands of people all over the country, to now losing everything? And how could I let my marriage break down? Now, if you're listening today, the last thing I have is even an ounce of judgment for you if you've been through divorce or relational difficulty. I'm just describing my experience. But, I was a marriage counselor. So for me to see my own marriage collapse was actually a devastating kind of experience, right? Because, I helped other people put their marriage together, and I couldn't seem to do that, even though we went for marriage counseling and we did all the things that you're supposed to do. And kind of what I realized was that and this was where, even though I had been a counselor, I got my real introduction to the idea of reprogramming. That in a lot of ways, I had been wired to fail, and it's not about blame. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. It's really about taking responsibility. But I had been sort of programmed from my earliest years. I mean, having witnessed my mom experiencing tremendous abuse, and having seen, no man, never really saw her in a healthy relationship, and she was a champion, just an absolute saint, and but I just didn't have the tools to sort of have a healthy kind of relationship, if that makes any sense. And so,
yes.
I decided to start, to reprogram. Like, I can't, be a person who's telling everyone else. I have to own my shit, deal with my shit, and make it into something that is beautiful. And
how old were you at this point when you decided to reprogram, Abe? Because I really want to hear people.
Years old. Yeah.
Right.
33.
So, I really want you guys to hear this, that it's never too late. It's never too late to really shift things for yourself, no matter how old you are. I know a lot of times people tell themselves, I'm too old, like it's too late.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the tragedy about it is I think a lot of the time we get confused, and you would know this as a former practicing psychologist, or
yes.
that it's not about knowledge, right? Like, I knew the right things to do, and if you wanted me to write a seminar on relationships, I could have done it. But here's what
yes.
I've learned is that we teach others what we know, but we live how we've been programmed, right?
Exactly.
And so, I'm not going to live what I'm teaching others. I'm going to live what I've learned in books and academia, but you know what? I'm going to live out how I've been programmed, and I had been really wired to fail. So, yeah, it was a great experience,
wow.
And I always tell people I'm happy to announce now I'm perfect. No, I mean, don't you love these before and after stories, right? It's like, look at me now, everybody, which is always complete, BS.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
But,
BS, total bullshit, yes. I really want to highlight what you just shared, because I think this is like a total quotable. We teach others what we know, but we live how we are programmed. Mm-hmm. And that's so important for people to see that, because there's so much shame. It's like, I should be doing better. I should be doing better because I know this stuff. And yet we all have subconscious beliefs, and there's onion layers, because we're onions, right, of these beliefs that we need to keep clearing and clearing and clearing. So I really, really want to highlight that there is we're always evolving. If there was the after picture, we are always evolving. We're always clearing our own sheds so that we can evolve and become emerged into our higher selves. So, Abe, this is so fascinating. So how is it that you started your coaching in all your multiple successful businesses?
Well,
because you really poured into it.
Yeah, so sort of context. I'm like 33, almost 34 at the time, and I was just like bankrupt of sort of anything that was what I thought was even marketable skills, because I'd been a pastor for 13 years, and people weren't hiring failed pastors, right? And so even though I had succeeded in terms of numbers, I had failed in terms of the role. So what ended up happening was that I had to go right into business. So I got lucky because I was able to look at my resume and think, how can I pull out the marketable skills? And I realized I'd always been great at leadership. In the church world, I had always been the guy that was sent into a church that was failing or struggling, and I was like a turnaround specialist. And I had managed, multiple teams, diverse teams of all age groups and ethnicities, and in a lot of ways even perspectives. And so that was some of the stuff I highlighted in my resume, and I got lucky, hired as an operations manager and in a company, and then from there to general manager, and then from there to VP operations, and just really was able to kind of move up the corporate ladder on the strength of being able to acutely develop or refine people skills in a business context. And then and that sort of checked off the box of supporting my kids, supporting my ex-wife, and making sure the bills were paid. About a year as I was into that, I started to realize that my unique set of skills had also given me a sort of a way of relating to people that was able to help bring the best out of them, right? That
is beautiful.
Yeah.
What we're going to do, Abe?
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're actually going to head into commercial. So we'll keep people in suspense about all these skills. And we're going to bring it back in so people can understand what exactly these skills were so that they could apply it for themselves.
Awesome.
Thank you.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
When you wake up in the morning, are you excited for the new day? Are you passionate about your work? Are your relationships fulfilling? And finally, are you happy? I'm Mia Voce, your host and guide to the power of 5. Harness the forces of the universe and unleash your powers within. Join me each Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on OMTimes Radio. And remember, anything is possible. You only just have to believe.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back, my friends. So just before commercial, Abe was sharing his story, which always just pulls at my heart because I'm just in such disbelief that how far he's come. And so I hope that as you were listening to his story, it's, like I said, sprinkling tons of hope, not just a little bit, but tons of hope. So Abe, I'm curious, what are some of those skills that we need to have, and also the mindset? Like, what really does a coach, a healer, practitioner need so that they could emerge themselves to that next level?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first thing is this idea that it's not so much about resources, but resourcefulness. You know, I had lost everything at that point in time, and you know, the funny thing is I couldn't even get a credit card. And at the time, you know, I needed a credit card because I wanted to place ads. I wanted to rent hotel rooms for meetings, and like meeting rooms and training rooms and that kind of a thing. And so I had to understand that if I was going to do this, that I had to go after it with all my heart, but not look for so much resources, but resourcefulness. I think the second skill was, you know, at the end of the day, what is your core motivation, right? Like, what is driving you? And as bad as I was at that moment in terms of not having all of my shit together, I still believed that there was something in me that could make a difference and impact the lives of other people. I felt like, man, I knew that there was people out there who are even, you know, more broken or more hurting than I was. And all I needed to do was find those people, sort of, you know, attract those people, sort of my kindred clients, the ones who I'm meant to work with, and that they would come. And honestly, they started to come. It was just a profound shock to me. Opportunities began to open, of course, as opportunities open, more opportunities open, and that's the way it goes, right? You got to start somewhere, and sometimes we're looking for the perfect opportunity, but you know, sometimes the imperfect opportunity is the thing that will lead you to the perfect opportunity.
1,000%, absolutely. And you said something that I really again want to highlight, which is what I also preach about. It's really being anchored in the feeling of your purpose. Like, you know, deep inside and the deepest depths of you that there is more to you to put out there to change lives. And I know that sometimes people aren't really certain what their purpose is. That's part of the work. However, it's that feeling that's like something is bigger than you right now. And God made us. God made us and put us here on earth so that we can be living in our soul mission. And it's so important to connect with this place so deeply that it actually is the fuel to your fire. And that's, I really hear that, Abe. I'm really hearing that's what you lived in to keep you going. Like, you had every reason to give up. Like, everything was being tossed against you, and you did not. And look what happened. People, your kindred, I call them soulmate clients, came because they felt your vibration. They felt your energy. And this is what the magnetism is. Yeah. It's you showing up.
It is, and you showing up with that passion at the forefront. You know what?
Yes.
Here's one of the things. I mean, I wrote a book called Getting Where You Need to Go and sold thousands of copies where I talk a lot about purpose. But you know what? Here's the thing. Stop waiting around for your purpose, right? Like, I don't know that we discover our purpose so much as it discovers us. And I'm not trying to get all spiritual, but at that moment,
please do.
I was so broken that I didn't know up from down. But I knew, I just knew one thing, and I knew this, that back to the days when I was 16 years old and I had nothing, and you know, I had reasons at that point to be arrested. Well, here I am now 33. Of course, at least that had improved in my life. I didn't have any reasons to be arrested, and I realized that I can give back by helping people, and if you just help people get what they want and get what they need and get what they deserve, well, you know, the universe, God, however you want to see it, you're going to be taken care of, right? There's this universal principle, like selfish people basically live sucky lives. Like, let's be honest, right?
Yes.
Whereas
that's karma.
Generous people, people who are out trying to give back and add value and support other people, they're the ones who have, I think, the greatest lives. And so, I don't think you need this laser precise, I will go to Tanzania and help orphan children in the city of XYZ. I think what you need is you need to start, maybe you start and you say, I'm going to work with men, or I'm going to work with women, or I'm going to work with business owners. Maybe that's all the sort of precision that you get, but you start with that. And when you start with that, you and I both know what happens. More precision opens up, right?
Absolutely. Yes. What do you see, Abe? Because you certify people to become coaches, and I love sending people your way. They always rave about your program, and it's very clear. I looked at the curriculum and I love this. This is a powerful program. My clients are so much more confident after going through the certification coaching program.
That's awesome.
And I'd love to hear, what do you see with regards to people's, as they're going through the program, or even after you go through a program, what are some of the struggles that coaches have when it comes to building their business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think the first thing is, that COVID has changed everything. So I'm an MBA. I guess the only reason I say that is that I study the economy. I talk to and work with small businesses all over the country. This COVID thing has permanently shifted a ton of things in sort of the global economy, but what all that creates for people like us, for coaches, and sort of for knowledge workers, for light workers, for people who are, in this kind of space, is it has created massive opportunity, right? Because we're not bound by a physical location. We're not bound by having to be within a certain geography. We have so much opportunity to add so much value. But I think a lot of coaches, probably the biggest struggle I find with coaches is they're struggling to figure out, what is the problem that I want to solve, and then who do I want to solve it for? So really, I guess the bottom line here is kind of, what's your branding, right? What's your primary sort of focus that you want in terms of a message to the world, and who is that target client that you think that you can really add value for?
Yes, I see that. And that also relates with once people are really clear with their branding and their messaging, which I love helping the entrepreneurs with, then it really is understanding how to authentically market yourself. It's not, I truly don't believe it's enough to just know your brand and your message and then sit back, right? It's understanding, how do you, like you mentioned earlier, add value to others through leveraging social media, through speaking. Speaking is huge to build your business. And so I see that those are often very common struggles. It's like when a lot of times coaches and healers are trying to call out to everybody, but of course we know what happens when we try to call out to everyone. We call in no one, right? We're being too vague and too general. What are some other struggles that you notice coaches have? And, I really want people to hear this so that they can be like, yep, that's my challenge. Yep, that's something I'm going through right now. And I'm feeling a little stuck.
Yeah. I mean, one of the challenges, right, is when you move beyond, so branding sort of is like the idea of painting a picture of the value that you can add to people. But without a doubt, I mean, a lot of coaches struggle with making sales, right? It's a funny thing, because in the one-on-one, I might be the most amazing coach that the planet has ever seen. But if I can't ask for the sale, then what's going to happen is my close rate is going to be really, really low. And people say close rate, like, it's amazing how many coaches I have to even explain that to. So, of course, in my coaching business, I have a target where every week I'm going to set up so many prospecting calls. And as a result of those prospecting calls, I'm expecting to net a certain number of yes responses, which essentially means I'm bringing more clients in. And so one of the challenges, right, is, well, how do you set up prospecting calls? What do you talk about? How do you sell your business, but in a non-salesy way, so that you're solving problems, you're meeting needs, you're healing wounds, and you're bringing in the revenue, but not in such a way as to push people away from you?
Yes, yes. And I feel like I'm going to jam on this one with you. A lot of coaches, I know the coaches I work with as well, that word sales is so yucky and repelling, and it's like, ooh. And being heart-driven and spiritual entrepreneurs, money is a dirty word often. And so I really, I love talking about money because I love helping people shift around the energy of money, around the mindset with money, and matching a beautiful frequency of abundance. Because here's the thing, money is not dirty. Money is, and neither is sales, right? Like when I talk about money mindset, there's a whole piece around your relationship with your money, money, and then there's also your relationship with the concept of selling. And I always love to say that selling is a sacred responsibility. You have gifts you want to share, and you know that, again, God put us here on earth to help us, to have us share our gifts. We are each unique individuals, and there's no two people that are alike. So when you show up, when you're sharing your gifts, you're speaking your truth. Your soulmate clients, the people whose souls feel your soul, your energy, your vibration, come in closer. But if you're not showing up, then no clients for you, right? So to put it bluntly, which means you're actually doing yourself and the world a disservice. Because remembering that money is an energetic exchange. Totally. It's an energetic exchange. It's a tool, it's a resource, so that we are coming from a place of overflow of abundance, and abundance comes from many different forms. So I'm really curious, Abe, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I love what you said about, sort of people's relationship with money. Growing up in poverty, like my family, my mom, we declared bankruptcy, twice before I was 10. And so, as I got older, and then I go into ministry. So, ministry, believe me, is not a place someone goes if they want to make money. That's for sure. And so, here I am, now moving into coaching. And actually, when I started, my business suffered for the first couple of months until I resolved this, because I was essentially setting myself up for failure rather than success, until I started to see this one thing. And that was this, that if I didn't figure out money, then my business would never be sustainable. And all of these people that I wanted to help would not be helped simply because I had to hang up with money. Now, I had to balance that. It's certainly not about going out there and trying to make boatloads of money, not at all. But, here's the reality. I have 3 children, right? I'm married. I want to make sure that I also leave something on the table to help support my mom financially and other things. So none of that happens without money. And so that meant for me, I had to deal with the inhibitions about sales. I had to deal with the stuff inside that was holding me back, not because I like to sell, but because I like to feed my family, right?
Yes.
Because I like to keep my business sustainable. Like, you could have the greatest business concept as a coach on earth. You could be the greatest speaker on earth, but if you have to work a crappy job that you hate because you're too afraid to ask for the sale, let me tell you, you gotta do some work, right, to fix that, because the world needs what you've got, and you're not going to necessarily be very happy. One thing I can promise you this, because I was a pastor for 13 years, I sat at the deathbed dozens and dozens of times, and I can tell you, people over and over again, they did not regret, sort of the things they did. They regretted the things they didn't do. They regretted the businesses that they didn't start. They regretted not having enough time for their family. They regretted not, writing that book that they had thought about. And so just really listening, if you're listening, just encourage you to do what it takes to get over that, to get through that, because your future is too valuable to sacrifice on the altar of, oh, I didn't want to sell, right? I mean, that's just, to me, a BS reason to not fulfill your destiny.
Oh my gosh, I want to highlight this. And so as we go into commercial, I really want you guys to sit with what is that thing you need to birth into the world? What wants to emerge from within and unfold into the world? I want you to write it down.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
All right. I'm not going to lie. I've been walking around in my Fairmont condo right now. I'm on holidays, on vacations. I'm recording this with Abe, or I should say lives. And every time I hear my music, my podcast music, I'm like jamming to it. So anyways, welcome back, you guys. I want to really have you, as you were reflecting on what wants to emerge from within. And I hope that you wrote it down, because now Abe actually is hosting an online summit called Emerge. Surprise. Emerge. And Abe, I'd love for you to tell us more about who this is for and why people need to join. What are the four different areas you're going to cover?
Yeah, I love it. So Emerge is the online conference, essentially. We call it an online summit for CCF, which is one of the largest coach training and certification bodies in the world. So we've been going since 2007, and because of COVID, obviously, we are moving into a fully online summit this year as opposed to in person. So it's going to be happening August 25th, 26th, and 27th. It's over 3 days. Of course, because it's all online, people who participate and register at any level, because there's 3 levels of registration, will have access to all of the recordings. So in terms of who this is for, I like to think of it as really for sort of 2-3 groups. Number one is coaches, obviously, because we're going to be giving coaches the tools that they need to really grow their business. But for anyone who's interested in growing their business, so that would be the second group, entrepreneurs. And then I think for leaders in general, any sort of person who's in a leadership role, and I think the reason for this being so good for those three groups is, like you mentioned, the 4 areas we're going to focus on. So the conference is going to be built around 4 key areas over these 3 days. The first is neuroscience essentials for coaches. And so, we have one of the top psychological neuroscientists or neuropsychologists literally in the world who's going to be presenting, and he's going to be presenting each day for 3 days about what are the essentials that you need. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go back to university and become a neuropsychologist. It's just not going to happen in my lifetime, and probably many of our listeners won't. But neuroscience has so much impactful information, strategic information, intelligent information for engaging your client. And for those who are in leadership, they need to understand neuroscience as well, because neuroscience is all about how to work with people and get the best out of them. The second focus of the conference of Emerge is growing your coaching business. So we're going to be talking about, building your brand, how to build your platform, how to build your list, and how to build your business as a speaker. And that's where, you're going to come in. And
I'm
you're going
coming
to do a
in,
session,
yeah.
Ross, absolutely, on, how can I, use speaking, and you already mentioned that earlier, how could I use speaking to grow my business? And so we're talking about neuroscience, we're talking about growing your business. The third thing we're going to talk about is exploring coaching niches. And so we've picked some experts in some critical areas like wellness, relationships, leadership coaching, parenting coaching. And they're going to lean in and give us some insight about some of these niches. And if you were going to do well in them as a coach, what are some things you got to pay attention to? And then the last focal area is what we call coaches who are crushing it. And, this is really about coaches who are out there, they're in the marketplace, they're making a difference, they're doing well in their business, particularly with some of the challenges we're seeing today around inclusivity and discrimination. These coaches are really going to be leaning into telling that story. How do we as coaches coach in diverse environments? How do we model inclusivity? How do we make sure that no one is left behind and no one is marginalized? And so, there's going to be sort of a bit of a social impact aspect to this conference as well, because, hey, that's the world we live in, right?
I really love this, Abe. Aren't you guys getting so excited? Like I'm excited for myself. Like not just because I'm speaking on it, but just this is a really beautiful, holistic way to look at the coaching world and how to grow your leadership skills, your coaching business, your impacts, your influence, and your income. And I love how you really took a really different approach, Abe, with the angle of neuroscience, the angle of looking at the different niches and what to really pay attention to. As well, I love that you really expanded the circle into the diversity and being inclusive. I honestly have not heard of an online summit that has all of these different angles. So you guys gotta get in there. The link is in my show notes. So on OMTimes Radio, I'll also be sharing that link on social media such as Instagram. The link is in my bio. And Facebook as well. So make sure you guys get your booties in there.
Absolutely.
It is going to be, and just knowing Abe, it is going to be, he's going to over-deliver. I know you will, Abe. You always over-deliver.
Sure.
And I know it's because you just have such a huge heart. And you have a wealth of knowledge. You guys, do not miss out on this opportunity. You've been listening to Abe's story. You've heard his rock bottom. You now understand his success as you were listening to this. And it's like that kind of energy, that kind of vibration that this man literally vibrates at is so high that even just being in his energy field will amplify you. It'll inspire you. It'll get you to take inspired action. You're going to receive so many downloads being on this online summit. So do not miss out.
Absolutely. I mean, I love it. We've got 14, 15 different speakers. I mean, such a group of diverse, expert speakers in their area. And hey, it's online. You get the recording. So, literally prices range from $57 to, I think it's $397. So without a doubt, I mean, that is going to be worth way more than that, and could be the thing that next levels you. So that's going to be happening August 25th, 26th, and 27th. Really easy to find, ccfsummit.com.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that link. ccfsummit.com. Okay.
But you're gonna have the link in your saying in your notes, and so please, just click on that, and that will get people exactly where they need to go.
Perfect. Thanks, you guys. So what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is to actually guide us through a meditation about what wants to emerge from inside, because we all have that next level in us, whatever that looks like. And so I'm actually going to guide you through that right now. If you're driving, of course, please come back on the replay. But if you're in a position where you can just make sure you're getting cozy and comfy, really, let's do this with you sitting down and erecting your spine. And you can start to take your attention inward, closing your eyes or having a soft gaze and following your breath in. And just really saying hello to your internal world. And as you are reflecting on this conversation between Abe and I, noticing what really in this moment is standing out for you. Just noticing, being in the moment. And as you're noticing what's standing out for you, noticing the sensations in your body, noticing the feelings, the hope, the inspiration, that fire, that electric spark. Where is it located inside your body? And as you're feeling this electric spark, let it lead. Notice what wants to emerge. What wants to unfold? Is it that book? Is it writing a talk so you can speak it? Is it starting something new? Is it reaching out to that person that you've been feeling called to reach out to collaborate with, to work with in some way? What's your next level? What's that wants to emerge? And breathe it in. Breathe into to what wants to emerge. Breathe into the feeling. And even if the idea sounds silly, that's just your ego talking. So breathe into that. Say thank you and send it away, because nothing is too big for you. Nothing is too unrealistic. Someone else told you that. Right now, Give yourself permission to dream, to imagine, to go big. Breathing into this. And as you allow yourself to dream, go bigger, feel into that electricity that's emerging, that's bubbling up, and radiating it out into the world. Radiating, radiating, radiating. Feel into your soul signature essence. That's what this is. Connecting with people. You don't know them yet. They don't know you yet. Or maybe they do. It doesn't matter. But connecting with the energy of aliveness, of inspiration, of moving into your next level. Feel into that. I'm going to activate this with a light language transmission. So we amplify it. Kira kratua kia barakaratu kia kwa paratia karatua kratua anchor in this fire kratu kira paratia parakaratu kratua amplifying it barakaratu kia barakarati karati kwa paraki kratu kratua Parakia. Breathing in. Breathing out. Anything that didn't resonate, breathing in. And anchoring in what did resonate. Anchoring in this fire. Anchoring in what wants to emerge and allowing it to unfold. Your soul signature essence. Taking the time to hang out with your experience, hang out with the sensations. You may have received downloads of ideas, of images, visions. Whatever you received is yours. It's not right or wrong. So hang out with that. And then finding a space inside to really land this beautiful experience you just received. So maybe that's placing your hand on your heart or your hand on your belly where your sacral chakra is, that place of creativity, a place of where your juicy flow really begins. So much is emerging for you, my loves. And then when you're ready, just gently come on back out. When you're ready, just feel the temperature of the room. And then when you're ready, just very slowly and gently open your eyes. If they were closed, you might want to have a soft gaze. And bring yourself back to your present environment. So I do encourage you to write, to journal what came through for you, because this is how we birth our next level. something Abe had touched on earlier in this episode was that he has been on beside people as they were dying, their last breath, taking their last breath, and listening to the regrets. And that's what we don't want for you, okay, is to die with your ideas inside you. You are here on a soul-driven mission. So we will see you guys in the Emerge Summit.
Right on.
Thank you so much, Abe, for being here. I really appreciate you. And those of you who want to get more of Abe, just check out the show notes. We'll see you in Emerge.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Abe.
Thank you.